Welcome to the West Ham Voice. Thank you for joining me. It's Wednesday afternoon. Clearly, we've had quite a quite a week of it already, haven't we? Look, what promised to be the start of a really fantastic week is soon turning out to be a bit of a disaster, isn't it? On Sunday, I reported, and many other outlets reported, that we were about to see an influx of transfers into West Ham United to add to the three that we had already secured. And no sooner did we start dreaming about what a glorious season it could turn out to be with such a strong squad, everything is beginning to unravel and turning into a bit of, a bit of a nightmare, really. Look, on Sunday, I said Lingard was on it, finally committing to West Ham. The Scamacca deal had been acknowledged by Sassuolo. An improved offer had been made to Lille for Amadou Onana, and they were seriously considering it. Who else? And there were various other things. And of course, Armando Broja was winging his way back to the UK from the Chelsea tour over in the US because he demanded a West Ham transfer, didn't he? Well, things have changed, and things have changed quite rapidly. Look, I've called this show The Good, the Bad, and the Greedy. And there are various reasons for that, which I'll get into in a moment. Of course, there's so much going on. The game against Rangers was a bit of an eye opener in more ways than one. So I'm going to briefly talk about that. I'm not doing an analysis of the game itself, but I'll sort of cover some of the good points and the bad points. And let's start with that, shall we? Because one of the good points, one of the plus points, without a shadow of a doubt, was the performance of Jared Bowen. Look. He's got a big few months coming up, hasn't he? When the transfer window shuts, we believe that he's going to be offered an improved contract, and we hope that he's going to accept that contract and sign it, because the last thing we want to hear about is maybe he and Declan Rice may be leaving the club at the end of this coming season. That would not be good. So hopefully, with this performance that he put in against Rangers, look, okay, I know a lot of people are saying, and even I've said it, it's pre-season, it's only about building up match fitness and et cetera, et cetera. But you can't help feeling that there were certain things in that game, which I'm going to cover in a minute, that were kind of resembled what we kind of fear about West Ham. But the good is that Jared Bowen put a fantastic performance. Like I said, it will bode well for his contract negotiations when the transfer window shuts. But also, Jared knows that if he puts in good performances, if he hits the ground running, he's going to be considered for the England squad when we have our Nations League games in September. If Jared Bowen gets in that squad, he's got 1 foot in the England squad for the World Cups, hasn't he? Look, he looked sharp. He looked eager. He looked full of ideas. He was making a difference on the pitch. It's just a shame that the players around him were not demonstrating the same, to be quite honest with you. Hopefully, the rest of the West Ham squad start picking up, much to the same as what Jared did. And one player that did when he came on, Thomas Soucek. He looked lively. He got involved. He used his box-to-box skills effectively, and he got a goal poacher's goal. Now, I know there's an awful lot of talk about about Soucek leaving West Ham United. And that would be a massive concern. Look, if we've got someone like Onana coming in, great. But why not have an array of talents in various positions that you can select from? In order to progress, in order to move forward. I've always said I don't really want to see Thomas Soucek go. I think if Onana does come in, it's quite likely to mean the end for Soucek, which would be a shame. But I'd rather keep him because he demonstrated what he's capable of doing in a West Ham shirt. He's come back refreshed. He's had a proper month off, a bit longer as well, and maybe we'll see a completely different Soucek. The Soucek that we actually saw when he first arrived at West Ham United, rather than the one we saw during last season when he looked fatigued and he looked really tired. So hopefully that bodes well for Soucek as well. Of course, we've got to talk about the bad, and the first bad is clearly about Aguerd. I mean, how's your luck? How's your luck? Moyes has been looking for a left-sided, a left-footed centre-back for quite a long time. He finally got what would probably be Ogbonna's replacement in the future. And what happens? He goes and goes and picks up a really bad injury. Um, Look, he was a bit sloppy. Let's not deny it. He hasn't looked sharp, and I would put that down to maybe acclimatizing, getting used to the players around him, new team, etc., etc. And in the game against Rangers, he did have one or two unforced errors. And it was one of the unforced errors that he gave the ball away that he tried to make up by trying to get the ball back. And he did well. He got the ball back, but he immediately got injured. And you could see that his ankle swelled up immediately. Now, look, I played 11-side football. And I remember when I was a lot younger, my ankle swelled up when I went in for a challenge, or when I got challenged, actually. And it swelled up like a balloon, a bit like Aguerd's, and I ended up having a broken ankle. Now, look, X-rays have been taken, and it's been suggested, or it's been confirmed, and hopefully we're not being, being given a wrong lead. It's been confirmed that Aguerd's injury is not a broken ankle, but it looks like quite serious ligament damage, which could mean he'll be out for anything up to 3 months. I mean, like I said, how's your luck? With the likes of Oggy and Dawson, we wonder how much of the season they're going to see through, how much of the season they're going to be involved in. Not because they're not capable, but because fitness-wise, etc., are we going to be able to rely on these veteran players to contribute? Both players have missed preseason games. Ogbonna was left out again against Rangers, and Dawson hasn't played that much in preseason, if at all. Does it mean that with Aguerd injured and with Ogbonna and Dawson, maybe because of their injuries, etc., we might not be able to rely on them as much? Are we going to dip into the transfer market again? It's been suggested that if we sell Diop, that we've got a ready-made replacement for him. I've got a feeling that could be the player from Marseille that we were looking at buying before. It could be, but don't quote me on that. But if we have got a ready-made replacement, is that ready-made replacement going to be another centre back, or are we likely to get a left-sided left back, wing back, whatever you want to call it, who can also play at centre back role as well? We need cover. We absolutely do need cover, but that's another bad. And I put it down as more of a concern than a bad, but it's not a bonus, is it? To be quite honest with you. Now let's look at the game itself. I mean, we didn't play well. And I know I keep saying, preseason, etc. You shouldn't read too much into a preseason game. But some of the things that were bad were the things that we've experienced throughout the tail end of last season. Our left side of defense, Creswell, we love him, but we know Creswell needs competition. He needs someone that can replace him at times. He looked a little bit slow, just a little bit dodgy between him and Diop when Diop came on. And we need a left-sided, we need a left back. There's no denying it. We do need a left back on that side. Some of the flaws that we were seeing last season were coming up again. In attack was also bad. We didn't have any drive, any push. We didn't have any speed in the middle of the park. We didn't have any creativity. Again, we were lacking that sort of creativity and aggression that we need to sort of get us some goals. And then up front, look, we love him, and we're not meant to, say anything bad about him. But Antonio, not just this game against Rangers, but in a couple of preseason friendlies already so far, he's had opportunities to score. He's fluffed them. He's fluffed his lines. And again, we are suffering from having a natural goal scorer. And we're looking to the transfer market in order to address all these issues, aren't we? We need a left back. We know we need a more attacking flair in midfield. We know we need a striker, and we're looking at the transfer market. And David Moyes has alluded to. He said it in the post-match review that we need to get players in. We need players in, and we need them in fast. We had a really, really good start in the transfer market by getting 3 players in, and it's kind of stopped. Look, it's only been about a week and a half since we signed our last player, but we need players in, and we need them in rapidly. It doesn't matter who you want to blame. for transfers. If you want to blame Moyes' dithering or Moyes' due diligence or the board, and their approach to transfers, etc., whatever is going on needs to change, and needs to change soon. And the whole club needs to get together and start bringing these transfers in. So let's move on to those transfers, shall we? Another bad. As I said at the beginning of the week, it looked like Amanda Broja was going to be a West Ham player. Apparently, he demanded a transfer. He came back from America. He had his foot in one of those air shoes or whatever you want to call them to protect a slight knock, which we don't believe is anything serious. But then we've had Tuchel talking about an awful lot about Broja, and he's got you try and listen to, or you try and read what he said, and there's some cryptic clues in there, aren't there? First of all, Tuchel was suggested that Broja's not for sale. But then when we apparently have spoken, we've spoken to Chelsea, we've been quoted a fee of 30 million, while other clubs have apparently been quoted a fee of 20 million. So despite what Tuchel's saying, there seems to be a suggestion that maybe Chelsea are willing to listen to offers, but they've got to be the right offers, and they're only going to likely to sell the player if we're offering 30 million plus. And also Tuchel talked about, we don't want to sell him, but we want to talk. We're going to have talks between the player, the agent, the owners, himself as well, as to what's best for the player. And then he went on to suggest that maybe a loan would be the best thing all round. But he's also talking about going to a club, going to a Premier League club. He's talked about Broja's last season and how he gained experience playing sort of first team football at Southampton. And he's saying, more or less, if he's going to be sent out on loan, he's got to have more of the same. He's got to be a first team starter. He's not going to go to a club where he's going to be on the bench. And maybe this is the issue here, that maybe it's a suggestion that Tuchel was looking at West Ham United and thinking, is Broja going to play ahead of Antonio? Because if Broja is not going to play ahead of Antonio, there's no development for the player. And maybe, just maybe, if there's a loan offering, it might not be West Ham United. It may be another Southampton. It may be a Nottingham Forest. It may be a club that is actually going to use Broja on a regular basis, rather than looking at using him from the bench. And the problem here with West Ham United is, we know that if Antonio's fit, Antonio starts. Does Broja start? Probably not. If we're looking at a direct switch between Broja and Antonio, David Moyes will go with the players that he wants, meaning he'll go with Antonio, and Broja may suffer from that by being on the bench. Is that what Tuchel's suggesting? He's suggesting that maybe it's best for this player to go out on loan, but he's also suggesting that he's only going to go out on loan to a club that's actually going to use him. Look, I'm still favouring a deal for Broja. I still think something can be done, even if it is a loan signing rather than the permanent signing. That might be better than nothing at the moment, because next up is Gianluca Scamacca, another bad. It looks as if we've made the offer and it's all gone a bit quiet. And there's no negotiations going on. There's been no follow-up. Now, maybe this is one of the stories that broke and now it's gone quiet because David Moyes wants it to be that way. It's possible. But I've got a feeling that maybe this ain't going to happen at all. Are West Ham being used by the agents for the player to get a better deal from either his own club or from another club in Italy? There's been talk about Juventus being interested, etc. And that doesn't bode well. We were told that, the CEO of Sassuolo made a confirmation that they received an offer from West Ham United, but it's all gone quiet. And that's a little bit worrying as well. And then Onana. I've mentioned Onana a minute ago. Again, no news isn't always good news, but no news isn't always bad news. I've put this not as a bad, but as a hopeful. We made the offer of £32.5 million, but we now need to push on. Are we going to wait for Lille to come back to us? Or are we going to push for the target and start talking to Lille, start talking to Sassuolo and saying, look, we need deadlines. We need to sort of confirm what we're going to do with these transfers. Are they happening, or are we going to start looking at alternative options? And this is a concern. It's a concern. We put offers in, but we're sitting there waiting. What are we waiting for? Let's push the agenda. Let's go to Sassuolo and say, Is Scamacca going to happen or not? Let's push the agenda and ask Lille, is it going to happen, or do we have to move on again? Again, I think I've got hope for this one. I've got hope that perhaps we do a deal with Lille. But how long do we wait? And then there's rumor about, another hopeful, Raum, for Hoffenheim. Apparently, we have started talks. Apparently, talks have taken place, but no offer has yet been made. But again, we need to push on. David Moyes, as I said after the Rangers game, we need to get more players, more bodies in, and get them in soon. Even he cut a frustrated figure after the Rangers game. No, forget the result. The result is the result, but it's the performance. I think that was more important, and the performance really clearly demonstrated we need a left back, we need midfield attacking options, and we need a striker. Is Raum an option? If he is an option, we need to get cracking on this one as well. And of course, we got to go to the greedy. And look, this has been probably the most frustrating transfer story of all. How long have we been waiting for Jesse Lingard? How long has David Moyes been waiting for Jesse Lingard? We believe that David Moyes had a good relationship with Lingard, and maybe that was going to sway the decision for Lingard to come to West Ham. Lingard has been made a number of offers around, in the UK, in England, should I say, in the US, in Saudi Arabia. Apparently, he wants to come to West Ham, but he also wants West Ham to break the bank to get him. Look, this puts David Moyes in a really and a really interesting dilemma. Does he turn around to the board now and say, whatever it is, pay him, let's get him in? Or do we stick to the wage structure mantra? And I get the wage structure mantra. Many people are going to go, sod it, just pay the money, give him what he wants, and just get him over the line. But I'd be honest with you, if he is actually looking for 180 to 200 grand a week, that really is a hell of a lot of money for a 29-year-old footballer. Do we want a player that cares more about money than he does about who he plays for? And it looks like Nottingham Forest apparently have come forward and they're agreeing. They're going to take the gamble and they're going to agree to pay the player what he wants. Do we do the same? And then have a bit of I don't know. I'm not so sure. I'm really worried about this one because David Moyes is now in a real predicament here. Apparently, the offer that's been made to Lingard is a lucrative one. It's a good one, but it relates to bonuses, etc. And of course, his signing on fee is involved in that, but it's nowhere near the 180 to 200 grand a week that he's demanding. What do we do in this one? Do we bite the bullet and say, okay, I guess it depends on what David Moyes wants, or do we look at alternatives here again? I think I think we're treading on thin ice here with all our transfer. We know we need transfers coming in. We know clubs know, and players like free agents like Lingard knows that we need players like him. And so, are we going to be held to ransom now? Are we going to be held to ransom by Sassuolo for Scamacca? Are we going to be held to ransom for by Lille for Onana? Are we going to be held to ransom by Chelsea for Broja? And are we going to be held to ransom by Lingard about what he demands? It's tight. It's difficult to know what to do. We know we need players coming in. We need them coming in sooner rather than later. The first game against Man City, the Premier League game, is just under 2 weeks now. And if the performance that we put in against Rangers is anything to go by, not a lot has improved from where we left off at the tail end of last season. We need improvement. We need players to come in. We need to freshen up that squad. We've had a massive disaster in losing Aguerd, who David Moyes was really relying on to bring a balance to the back line. What's going to happen? Well, it's never an easy ride with West Ham United. So watch out and see what happens over the coming days. Sorry about that. I'll be back soon. Thank you for watching. Do hit the like and subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you very soon.